Hey everybody, and welcome to the Less Worse Podcast. My name is Jerry.
And my name is Akil.
And today we're going to make a couple announcements before we get into it. First of all, obviously we missed a couple weeks because I had some family shit I had to take care of, so that's a thing. And the other announcement is that we're changing the format just a touch. We're not going to... We had the best flow, we felt like, whenever we were talking about like media and stuff, like movies and video games and blah, 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 blah. So we're not going to talk about like broad concepts of media anymore. We're going to kind of pick a thing to talk about, do our homework on it, and then like a movie or a video game in particular. And then we're just going to bullshit about that for an hour. I mean, we'll still get into like other like things, but we figured we were running out of ideas so fast that maybe we should stop glossing over entire like mediums of human creativity. So without further ado, today we're E3 is going on right now, so it only makes sense that we're going to talk about some really old fucking Marvel movies that have nothing to do with video games at all. We're going to talk about the Marvel Avengers movies, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Which ones have you seen?
I have seen just the first and second Avengers movie. I've seen Iron Man, the Iron Man ones too, I guess.
Like all three of them?
Iron Man
Iron Man
1, yeah.
I have been trying to catch up because so my first I guess exposure to these movies was Tumblr, the website Tumblr. So
just like the what's his name, Loki fangirls or whatever.
Yeah, that, like, I was aware that Tom Hiddleston was a huge hottie and that apparently Iron Man and Captain America were gay for one another, even though in Civil War I found out that was not the case.
Yeah. It's not just a lover's quarrel.
No, it's not. Well, it might be. I don't know. I haven't actually gotten to see the end of it yet, so maybe they fucking, you know.
Kiss and make up.
The first gift set I ever saw, was like a set of animated gifs, was basically... Iron Man and Captain America are standing out in a field somewhere, and Iron Man says, "I like your pants," and then Captain America says, "Oh, thanks, they were 50% off," and then Iron Man says, "I would like it better if they were 100% off," and then Captain America says, "That's a terrible way to run a business," and that's, yeah, he doesn't get it because he's old.
Yeah.
That was what I thought the movies were, basically, because they don't actually say that. That's not a real thing they say. So I thought that was a thing. I wasn't foolish enough, obviously, to think that was actually a thing that happened, but I thought it was pretty much just like, I don't know, just like good times all around. Turns out it's basically just a series of terrorist attacks. The whole Marvel Cinematic Universe is just a fucking series of terrorist attacks. Imagine, so in Iron Man 2, for example, which is, no, that's not true. I saw the whole class. But Iron Man 2, I've been catching up, and I saw them kind of out of order. So I went back to refresh some of the movies I might have already seen, like the Hulk and Iron Man and whatnot. Because those have been out for fucking literally a decade at this point. But anyway, so I went back to watch those. And imagine, if you will, like if you were watching the Monaco Grand Prix, and someone were to come out on the track and destroy some of the cars, for example, which happens in Iron Man 2. That would make the news, and ISIS would take responsibility for it, whether they were part of it or not. So I'm just saying, like, the whole thing is just a series of fucking high-tech alien terror attacks. It's just and then Hydra is basically fucking Marvel's ISIS.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's like, it's not as happy. My point is, it wasn't as happy-go-lucky as I thought it was going to be at all.
No, it's like, I don't know I can't point to a specific movie that caused it, but like superhero movies have to have some kind of like grit to them now.
See, I thought that was DC's thing. I didn't know that Marvel had gotten so hard into it. And once again, like the only Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that I had seen, or we'll shorten it to MCU because it's a fucking mouthful. The only MCU movies that I had seen were like, I saw the first Captain America. You know what? Shit. I think the only ones I saw before about 2 years ago when I first met my girlfriend, who's a huge fan, especially of Tom Hiddleston and Loki. So yeah, she's one of those fangirls that you were referring to earlier. the only exposure I'd had to them was like the first two Iron Man movies, and I think maybe I saw the Incredible Hulk, not the first Hulk movie, which sucked, but the second one, which was okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But other than that, I've done my catching up in the last 2 years, and most of it, like 80% of it, like I saw the Avengers for the first time a week ago, and yeah, I've just been kind of binging them. I guess I hate to use the phrase binge watch, but I have been binge watching them. That's a lot of hours that I've frittered away to fucking.
So like, which one has been your favorite?
So far, I think I don't know it. So my thing was, because I've seen them so close together, I don't have a lot of perspective as to which was which. Like, I would literally watch like 2 in a day sometimes. So like, I don't have a lot of perspective as to which was which. But I know I like Iron Man, and I know I like Captain America, which is gonna make watching Civil War really hard. But but like, I like all of the characters. It's just basically because I'm watching them so close together, it's like binge watching a TV show on Netflix. You don't have a favorite episode. I mean, you might, but like, you're not expected to have a favorite episode. It's just, I like the show. So it's basically, and it really is like a fucking what is it? Like a soap opera.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big ass soap opera.
Just all the different like story arcs and things.
Yeah. I will say the action sequences are great all the way through, like from the Hulk and Iron Man 1 all the way to the most recent one I started watching. I didn't finish it. I'll get back to that. The action sequences are great all the way up to like Age of Ultron, and I say that because I haven't seen anything past that yet, except for part of Civil War. But Civil War is a Captain America movie where it really draws on the past events of the previous movies, even Iron Man 3, which people like to pretend didn't happen. But it draws on the events of that. And when I saw that, I still haven't seen Iron Man 3. I didn't see it, so I was just like, what in the fuck is going on? So I stopped watching that one halfway through, which was actually really hard to do. I didn't want to stop. It was engrossing, but I was so confused. I didn't feel like I was getting what I should have out of it. So I went back, and it turns out I thought Age of Ultron was after that. And I didn't think Iron Man 3 mattered. They fucking matter.
Oh, really?
They matter a lot. So, yeah, that one was kind of like... I guess it was... Civil War is about the, like... I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like... Basically, they're the governments of the world are telling them, like, hey...
Like your secret identity is...
No, it's not... I don't think they care about that. It's more so, like... You need to be put under, like, on a leash. Like, you can't just go and do what you want to do. You have to be under government control. And Captain America's like, well, then we won't be able to go to places that we need to be if they won't let us. And we might get caught up in the middle of stuff that we don't want to be in. Like, so basically, instead of becoming, like, a great equalizer, they become a weapon. And Iron Man's like, well, but we've done so much collateral damage and shit. So, so that's where the fight comes from in that. But, but they reference so many past calamities that I had just fucking missed. I think the only ones... so what I was going to say a second ago before we move on is I have had a bad habit, and I don't know when I started this. I can't watch a whole fucking 2-hour movie. Like, I fall asleep in the middle of it, and I just pick it back up from where I left off at my earliest convenience. Sometimes... Like, literally, the Avengers 1, I was watching it. I had the whole day off. I was watching it. I paused it, took a nap, woke up, played. Yeah, I watched it in 2 fucking parts. I always make the joke, like, oh, yeah, I just watched the Avengers, and it only took me 4 hours. And people are like, it took you 4 hours? What? It's a 2-hour movie. And I'm just like, oh, I fell asleep. Which is better than Guardians of the Galaxy, which I also just finished, that I actually slept through a bunch of it, so I didn't see all of it. But it was a good movie, but it took me 3 years to see that one. That one was one I finished 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I basically have seen the whole movie because I've seen enough bits and pieces, but I fell asleep every time I watched it. Not because it wasn't bad, because I'm a fucking cinema narcoleptic, I guess. But yeah, so... What's your favorite movie? Do you have a favorite movie since you probably spread them out a little more?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of me actually like is
Enjoys
a
it.
fan of it, and more so just like I watched it because I wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah.
Like I think, like I didn't care about Iron Man before the movies, so I thought it would be phony of me. Like I still don't really like Iron Man, just like as a hero, but it's like
I just like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man because he's a fucking good actor.
yeah, it's still just like as movies they're cool.
Yeah.
And I think that the establishing a universe thing is cool.
Yeah.
But just like as a I'm not big on just like we expect you to have watched these things. We're just like coming in, here's knowledge that will make this movie better. And it's just like all right, but
I like the idea that basically what you're saying is like sequels piss you off.
it's not even that. It's just like universes where like
Well, so all these Marvel movies, I didn't know this was the case until after I started watching them, and this is how out of the loop I was. I didn't really know they were that connected.
mm-hmm.
I was with you. I was like, can't you just like jump in at any point? Like I asked somebody, do you have to watch all the movies? And that person who had watched all the movies said no, and they were full of shit. You were full of shit.
I guess it's because like my thing about comic books is I like it when it's just like I read that thing.
Yeah.
It's like I want Green Lantern, I will read Green Lantern. Or like I want Batman, I'll read Batman.
Don't they do it sometimes in comics where like the story arc picks up in a different comic book? Like not like in a different comic book of that same series, because obviously that's how a fucking series works. But like sometimes it's like, oh, it gets a dramatic conclusion from Green Lantern in Batman 368.
I don't know. It's more so just like
I guess that's a crossover issue.
yeah, I guess crossovers and everything. But it's just like I don't like that. It's just like I don't. It's like it's because I don't want to wait to see the payoff to certain things.
Yeah.
When it's just like a movie that takes a long time to make. Because by the time they put out the one where it's like all wrapped up nice in a bow, it's like I'm pretty much over it by now.
Yeah.
It's like if I wanted to just like know, like it's cool with like an episodic TV show where it's like the most you'll have to wait is like a week.
Yeah.
But like years or like months of like production, and it's just like I really don't care who Thanos is in the first place. So it's just like
he was the purple guy at the end of the Avengers, so
Yeah.
what do I fucking care?
it's just like it's to some point it kind of seems like bloated,
Yeah.
but just like
Oh, they're definitely trying to get money out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was never in question, but like they're definitely like squeezing it for every dime they possibly can.
because sometimes it's also just like they are putting out this movie to advertise for this movie.
Yeah.
Because it's just like Thor was cool in the Avengers, but I'm not gonna go and watch like the Thor separate movies.
I was actually going to bring those up earlier. Those are the only ones that are like really tonally different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not because there's so much fucking magic involved, I guess.
Right.
Rather than like, oh, these robot aliens. I mean, they're still robot aliens, but it's almost like those could stand on their own, and it's not because they're like super better or anything. It's just it takes place in an area so far removed that never shows up in the Avengers movies. Like they don't go to Asgard in the Avengers movies.
Right.
So it's almost like it's, you know, so far removed that those are kind of irrelevant. So I see what you're saying. And actually in that particular case, you're right. Like there's shit that goes on, but it's not.
Yeah, because like I also guess I guess where my point kind of like is lacking is at no point was I watching either of the Avengers except for like one point in the Avengers 2 when he went in like the magic hot tub and did whatever.
What the fuck?
Shit. Like he was like, all right guys, I know you're here stressing, I'm gonna go in this pool of like whatever.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh right.
Well,
okay.
again, I'm only halfway through that movie because I
Okay.
fucking tried to watch it at 11 p.m. and didn't.
You'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So it's just like, okay, because it was something where like I have some kind of idea of how I can do whatever. It was something that they most likely did in his own movie, and it's just like I don't. Okay. So it's just like it's at no point in any Avengers movie am I just like, oh, I'm completely lost because I didn't see it.
Because I didn't see Thor.
Right. It's just like, oh, I'm doing this because plot point, go to section whatever B, 1A in whatever movie, so you can know exactly what I'm talking about.
You don't care about that.
But they're pretty good at just like self-contained, just like here are heroes.
Yeah.
We're putting them together to do like team hero stuff. So at the end of the day, it's just like I get it.
Yeah.
It was just like any team up posse thing is like we're not gonna get along at first, but we're going to bond, and there's gonna be something near the middle-ish end of the movie where like, oh, the team's gonna fall apart. We come back and save the day at the end.
The thing about that is, yeah, that's basically what all the Avengers movies are, and Civil War is that, and what's another one? I guess the second Captain America movie as well are that, but the thing about them is, like, they do it every time. Like, it's almost like they don't learn anything. They have no fucking object permanence when it comes to teamwork.
Right.
Like, when shit's bad, they're just like, this is your fault.
I guess also, here's what I wish, just the film production, like how they make their films. I wish the Justice League movie would be like a Marvelish type of just like expertise behind it.
Yeah.
Because the issue, I guess, with the Avengers is like I don't give a fuck about any of them.
You're not a Marvel guy, that's why.
I mean, I like Spider-Man, I like X-Men, but it's like,
well, X-Men can't be in the same universe, right?
no, because like I think Sony,
That's what
someone owns the rights to it.
Yeah.
They let Spider-Man be in Civil War, but it's like,
Spoilers.
I mean, it's in the trailer.
I didn't watch the trailer.
Oh, well.
Well, okay, so again, you realize I didn't care about these movies until like a month ago.
Well, okay.
When I really started trying to crack them down. So I didn't see any of the trailers.
Well,
any of them.
I guess it's just because like Avengers is just like B team heroes that they put together because like they weren't doing anything else with the characters, and then someone was like, let's just make a movie about it, and they did, and now like a bunch of people are just like, oh, this is the shit. But it's just like,
I don't think those are B team heroes. I mean, Thor kind of.
I mean, Thor, Black Canary, Hawkeye,
Black Canary.
yeah, or whatever her name. No, fucking Black Widow. Yeah, Black Widow.
Black Yellow Bird.
Yeah, Black Canary's DC, but it's
is
just
it?
yeah, she was like with Green Arrow or whatever.
You mean Hawkeye? I'm just
Whatever.
kidding. No, you're right. I'm
Yeah.
just making fun of like
But-
how, like, who ripped off who really.
All right, but yeah, it's like as far as just like names go, it's just like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. It's hard to compete with that squad for me.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah, but it's like I know DC is going to cock it up. I just have this feeling because DC doesn't make good movies.
the Batman series was all right.
That was Christopher Nolan though.
That wasn't DC.
That wasn't like, I don't really count that as DC.
So the DC cinematic universe
Mhm.
is like upcoming.
Well, they already started with it. It's like
I think they want everyone to forget Batman versus Superman.
It was that, and then okay, Suicide Squad was bad too.
Yeah.
So it's like, how many passes can we get before you can't keep having do-overs? Some of these have to count.
I
eventually.
hope so. You know, the guy playing Aquaman is the guy who played like Khal Drogo. I
In,
think
like,
that's his
Game
name,
of Thrones.
In Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of him because not only is he like a really good actor, like he learned a whole fucking fake language for that shit.
Like, I hope it ends up well.
I just hope. I mean, I used to really shit on Aquaman because it's like you're fucking useless. Where you're worthless on 50% of the planet, and you're completely worthless where crime happens, because crime only happens, really 98% of crime happens on that 50% of the planet.
Aquaman's underrated, and also like 30%.
Huh?
30%.
Oh, like because 70% of
Yeah,
the services.
but-
Still.
He's actually very useful. He's a good hero.
No, he is.
But, yeah, I get what
that
you're
used to
saying.
be like
Yeah.
my favorite joke.
Yeah.
Because A, it kind of pissed you off, and B, I'm kind of right. Like I only like he obviously he can do stuff on land, and there's in the cinematic universe of DC there's shit, or in the universe of DC there's shit going on underwater. So there's precedent for him to exist. But I'm just like in the realm of reality, if like his main superpower is he can like ally with fish and sea creatures and have them fight enemies, he's useless in the middle of New York or Metropolis or wherever the fuck or where's Batman from?
Gotham.
I was gonna say Arkham. Fucking the Arkham video games fucked me up. He's useless in those three places because fucking there's no water there.
Well, I mean, like, he also has, like, super strength, and he's, like, super rich.
I know. I mean, no, he's
Yeah.
richer than, like, what, Iron Man, Batman, and Superman's got a really bitchin'
It's a nice house.
yeah. So he's, like, richer than, like, the next top 3 superheroes put together, and I know that, but I still, like, where are you gonna spend your fish money, Aquaman?
Yes,
Where are you
yeah.
gonna spend your fish money?
Anyone except Atlantean.
Yeah. Ace Cash Express doesn't
Yeah.
fucking give you. You don't have any credit.
Alright, but
If you want to rent an apartment, you got to buy the whole fucking complex, dude.
but
And they don't take fish money for that shit.
right. But I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is just like
Sand
a while
dollars.
ago there was like but
Is that by U.S. dollars? You mean sand dollars, right?
but it's just
Sorry.
like a while ago there was just like whatever list released of just like all the movies everyone has lined up,
Yeah.
and it's just like,
There's so many.
and it's over so many years
Yeah.
to where it's just like if
Aren't
I
they lined up to like 2025 or something like that?
to where it's just like if I cared that much.
I kind of do. I'm excited because I know there's going to be at least good movies to make fun of, if not actually good movies, for years.
Well, I mean,
And
like,
I'm stoked about that.
I mean, if you care about just like the story or whatever, it's just like go download like Comic Viewer or Comic Reader and read whatever art they're going to make the movie cover.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, oh, in
what
2025,
happens.
I'm really gonna enjoy fucking I don't know when Cyborg's coming out, but like in the year 2072,
20XX.
it's just like I can't wait for that. It's just like just read Justice League and stop letting the studios think that they have a sure thing with you,
Yeah.
because like
They're going to keep making shitty movies and not care because it's going to... I mean,
Yeah.
Suicide Squad made fucking money.
of course it's a big summer movie.
Yeah, and everyone was excited about it, but then when critics panned it because it was kind of shallow and dumb,
It was,
and Jared
yeah.
Leto played the Joker, I mean, nobody cared because it was already too late.
I think also
They already had their money.
I think also it was just like the whole process of them making the movie was so just like fucking catawamp. It was like so fucked up to where like if you watch interviews with Jared Leto, he's like talking about how they went in, they were like, yeah, we're gonna let you do this and this, and we're gonna let you have like these ideas, and over the span of it, like they just cut so much Joker out of the film to
They
where
did.
what was left over was just like they kept retarded parts that like whatever soundtrack they went and spent a lot of money on, they could use songs over that with his scenes, and like, all right, you also cut out character development and like scenes where people can invest in his and like Harley's relationship, and it's just like now it's just like you have this cringy meme lord edgy Joker. And it's like
Meme Lord.
and it's like fucking nothing in the film is like there was no explanation of just like, hey, heroes exist, why don't we get the heroes? It's just like, let's just get bad guys, let's just skip right past all that to fight this problem that we made anyway. Because like Amanda Waller was just like, oh no, the heroes won't be bad, I mean the villains won't do villain shit because I have them under control. And then
I'm just gonna put them all together.
And then person she had under control went and did villain shit. It was like, hey, look how you didn't know how you felt about the team before. Here's how they fight a threat that I made up from my own idea. And it was just like really dumb. It's just like, that's what makes me worry. I didn't see Wonder Woman because I heard it was good. I don't know how much of it is just like female superhero, just like awesome.
I am a little worried about that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. Representation
Yeah.
is good. But if your movie is... There's a difference between like representation in a movie and cashing in on the idea that like, oh, social justice warriors will come and see this movie.
Right. So
Like that's not representation, that's pandering.
right.
Or it's literally having a token person.
Right.
It's not okay.
Because it's like, I feel like if I went and saw it and I didn't like it, I couldn't say that I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Because I might have to like debate someone over like, no, it's not a sexist thing, I just actually didn't like it.
Yeah. I mean, so and there's always going to be that kind of discourse until, well, probably until forever, but like, there's always going to be that kind of discourse until like there's pretty much like equal representation of just about everybody in media, or somebody's going to feel singled out. And you know, I've always felt like when people cry foul, like, well, why aren't there any, you know, like, why aren't there any women in Saving Private Ryan? It's like, well, you know, that's a period piece, so that's a joke. But you know, when people cry foul of stuff like that, like sometimes it just sounds like that. It's like you're literally you're barking up the wrong tree when it comes to representation. Like, I'm sorry there wasn't, you know, there wasn't, you know, women in this prison movie about, you know, a bunch of dudes.
Right.
You know, someone's always going to cry foul of that, and this isn't that. But I think if the Wonder Woman movie is actually good, cool. That's representation. I'm very happy with that. But yeah, I've been worried about that too, and I haven't seen it yet either. Because I just never go to the fucking movies. I wait till it comes up on Amazon and I watch that shit.
Because it's like, I know I brought her up as like one of the marquee names earlier, but it's also just like, it's Wonder Woman. Like, I don't care. So like,
well, I don't know. I've never been a big DC fan. I've never been a fucking comic fan. Like, mainly it's been like movies and video games that have got me into it. And there's some times where I read comics and I'm like, this is very, very good. This is an awesome way to tell a story. And if it were told any other way, it just wouldn't feel as right. But the only examples I can think of that are fucking The Walking Dead, and which is a good TV show, but it's not. The comics for me were fresher and better. Mainly because they go a lot further and they're not trying to like kill time. It can tell the story as it wants to, because it's just panels. It's not fucking trying to stretch out for seasons. But anyway, The Walking Dead and Preacher, which also just became a TV show.
Yeah.
Which I watched the first episode. It was all right, not what I expected, but it was good. But yeah, so like, I've never been a comic guy, and where I am, it does not pertain to what we're talking about at all. So when it comes to comics, I'm super rookie. I enjoy them. I mean, I just like reading anyway, but that's just not my wheelhouse.
Like, yeah, because like there's people who know like way more. Yeah. Not, who like, I'm sure.
They can name you fucking issues where shit happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know. I guess my thing about it is just like, outside looking in, just as like a person watching these things, or like I have just a casual interest in comic books.
Yeah.
It's just like, they already, maybe I'm just salty because they fucked up my favorite hero movie already, like Hal Jordan, like Green Lantern.
Oh yeah.
The Green Lantern movie was so bad.
Was that part of this
no, it
DC
was before
universe?
that.
Okay.
Yeah. They're making another one, but still, it's like Man of Steel. I think people hate on it a little too much. I didn't
see that. I've been catching up on superhero movies. I used to think superhero movies were fucking dumb. I didn't want to see them. But I've been like, you know what? I've been really hating on something that I have not given a chance yet. And as someone who likes to think of themselves as open-minded, I really should go give it a shot. Now, if you like My Little Pony and you're a grown-ass man, something's wrong with you. But other than that, you know, it's just, it's a medium made for adults, and if I'm going to judge it, I might as well get to know it. So yeah.
It's like,
I used to not even like these movies at all.
I think that certain things, like, I think what DC would need to do, and what I think Marvel does, which I like, it seems like Marvel doesn't let a lot of what just like, it seems like people just like Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Like, I think DC is kind of starting to like fuck with them, that people don't like their movies, so they're trying to kind of like overcompensate.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's why like the editing was so like flashy and like all that, and like Suicide Squad, and like, let's get like Will Smith and like all these like famous pop songs and like rock songs, and like, let's just make this like broad appeal to everybody, make all the money movie.
Yeah.
And it's just all like,
they lack in like character development. And writing.
There's no like substance.
Yeah,
but
it's all flash.
That's why I think that
that's the thing too. You can't fix a shitty movie with editing.
Right.
It has to be a good movie to start with, and you have to edit it well, and then you'll get a great movie.
And because here's my thing about it is like Man of Steel, like I said, like I think it gets too much hate.
Yeah.
Because I think that we live now in an age where people just like to shit on things more than they like to just like sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah. So they like to judge.
Yeah. So it's like Man of Steel, I think, was cool in that just the world we live in, if there was just this powerful thing, someone out there isn't going to like it. It's a post 9/11 world.
Yeah.
It's like we can't just have this thing here without like addressing this.
Dude, it's a fucking... This has been... I mean, I guess this has been a thing since like time immemorial, but this has been a thing in the modern era since World War II. Like fucking the nukes.
Yeah.
Like that like someone has that, we can't have, like there's got to be a fucking arms race about it. So yeah, this is and actually, isn't that shortly after Superman became a thing?
I want to say Superman started in like the 30s or something.
World War II happened after Superman.
Yeah.
So the idea that he's become like a super weapon, and actually I have something to talk about after this as well. The fact that he's become a super weapon, and that's basically his story at this point, is not surprising. Because the intrigue comes from like I said, the fucking entire Marvel Cinematic Universe is a series of terrorist attacks, and that's fascinating to us. And I don't know why, but like it's like, what if there was a big bad guy that we could beat, and then bad things would stop happening. I guess that's kind of the idea. I mean, that's what superheroes are, is the idea of like justice triumphing over the idea of the lack thereof.
Right.
So, but they're muddying that a little bit, which makes it more interesting, honestly, with the idea that like superheroes are not infallible. They're addressing like collateral damage and shit like that. But what I was going to say is I actually saw, this is completely outside the cinematic universe of either thing, but I saw a Batman animated movie the other day that was very good. I bought it, and it was very good. I would watch it again. It was 3 hours long because it was an hour and a half special in two parts. Mm-hmm. Like 1 hour and a half special and then another. And then basically the first one was like old Batman basically returning to being Batman and saving Gotham. And then the president didn't like it or something. And so the second part was he sent Superman to come and stop him. And then Batman basically... He finds he at the end he builds a giant ass suit, and this is how I found this. Is I saw the fight scene on Facebook or something on a video, and I was like, that looks fascinating. I wonder if like that's a whole thing. And it turned out to be a 3-hour movie. I was stoked. But the fight scene is basically he builds this giant armor, like Superman tank, anti-Superman tank armor that he wears as like a suit. And he fights Superman, and he recruits Green Arrow. Green Arrow shoots him with like some kryptonite arrow, and then Batman just like stomps his ass. And he's like, I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember the one person who was ever able to beat you. And then that's the end of the fucking movie. It was so good. Mm-hmm. It was so good. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that, and you should see it if you want to see it. I bought it. If you want to fucking borrow it, you can do it. But it's so good. Actually, what's your favorite, like... So, I guess today we're talking about comics, which I guess...
Yeah.
We were going to narrow it down, but now let's just talk about comics. What's your favorite, like, comic turned some other medium? TV show, movie, whatever. Radio show, whatever. Netflix series.
I'm not really sure.
Do you just enjoy comics more?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, because I get the appeal, because for a lot of these things, if you're a fan of it, there's decades of material to go back on. You don't have to wait for the next summer blockbuster and only have like 4 hours of material total, like forever. You can read an issue, think it's really interesting, and then go back like literally 80 years on some of this shit,
Right.
and be like, okay, I've got all this,
Yeah, because I guess like
and all these alternate takes on them. It's really cool.
I guess because why I tend to like them more is like I don't have to just like watch someone else's interpretation of it, like what they decide to leave out, whatever they, it's just like I just have the source material, how like the original artist intended it to be.
Yeah. So. I mean, it is different to see people like do shit different ways, but I think that like one of my favorite things is like you'll sometimes find these compilations of comics, like The Walking Dead used to be little issues. Now you can find them in Barnes & Noble. They're like fucking 2 inches thick. Books that have just dozens of issues in them. And then, The Watchmen did it too. The entire series is in one fucking volume. It's thick as shit, but it's all one book. And you can read it from start to finish all in one go right there. And actually, that reminds me, I need to go fucking get on my Kindle and buy some comic books because it's getting me stoked about reading comics. But yeah, like
I remember there was a point in high school I was like really into them, but then like I kind of like fell off, but I'm kind of starting to get back into them again.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about comics is that there's just so much of them. Like,
yeah,
there's only 3 Iron Man movies. There's a couple other movies with Iron Man in them, but all told, he's got 10 hours of screen time. You can spend literally probably months straight reading all the Iron Man comics because he's been around for a very long time as well. Superman, you could spend months. Batman, months, etc. Like, you could go for a long time reading comics, and I think that's one of the great things about them is, yeah, it's a source material. It may not be as flashy, but some of those illustrations are actually awesome.
Yeah.
And you can get all the stories. If you don't like one, fucking skip it. If you don't like that story or you don't like the art style, skip that. Go to the next generation and the next storyline.
Because like I like I'm not like they're so good, just like the characters.
Yeah.
So where it's just like I'm not even just like a fanboy over like Marvel or DC. I just like
certain characters.
Reading, like, I just like following all the stuff,
seeing how they develop and things like that. I actually would be curious about seeing Aquaman's going back to Aquaman, going to see his origin story, because I don't actually know. I don't think he's ever gotten a movie before.
I don't know like I just know Aquaman, like I just know him. I don't know like how it all started or anything.
Yeah, and going back to cartoons, actually, talking about Batman, I tried watching the original Batman animated series. Probably not the original. No, that's probably the original. But the one that ran on Cartoon Network when we were kids. That shit holds up pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it's a little weird, like, and a little bit dated. Not as bad as like the 70s animated Spider-Man, but it's pretty good.
Because like I've been wanting to watch like the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited too.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to like watch all that because like DC really they're good at animated stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that
really
3-hour movie I saw was riveting all the way through.
Yeah.
Like it may not have felt like totally Batman the whole time. Like cuz some of it was a little weird. Like literally a gang took over Gotham just because he was gone. I don't know. It was a little weird. But all the characters were there. And it may not have felt like kosher Batman, but I guess it kind of felt like Dark Knight Rises, which I also didn't like very much because they literally like shut down the whole city. We got him.
Yeah.
We killed the Batman. We put him in a hole.
Yeah.
He'll never come back, and he does. So it was that. It was basically because Batman's not there. It was kind of a tale of like, look how weak Batman is, and I kind of get tired of. I think we've said this before, but like if there's no like. If the superhero remains all-powerful through the whole thing, it's not interesting. But I think my thing is, when you strip their powers away, that's when I don't like it. But if you just give them a more powerful opponent who's like stronger than them, I like that.
I just like
it's a weird difference.
I like when it's like one thing I don't like, which kind of like turned me off of comics, I think, was like at some point it's like these people are too strong. to where it's just like these stakes aren't even realistic anymore.
Like how the Green Lantern can literally make like a 50-foot long 50 caliber machine gun that can like take out anyone from space.
I'm like,
and so robberies aren't really a big deal anymore.
It's like I like heroes where it's just like sometimes I like things like crossover, like what am I things like Sinestro War or like the Crises or things like that, where it's like big whatever heroes fighting heroes. Sometimes that's cool with me.
Yeah.
But sometimes I just want to see a hero deal in just like his little universe.
Yeah.
Doing things on a more realistic micro level, to where it's just like to where like sometimes people's powers, I think, can just get like, what is even a threat?
Yeah.
And like,
well, that reminds me, like the you let me borrow a volume of Green Lantern comics once, and it had the original like Green Lantern comic in it, and it was literally, I think it was Hal Jordan like he was having trouble stopping a robbery because the car was yellow.
right? It's like, yeah, it's like
we're so far past that now. Like that's not interesting to us anymore because we're just like, do you want to know how he solved that problem? He could manipulate the tires because they were black, they were not yellow.
right, yeah.
I love that.
But
that's what you're talking about. Like that's small.
like that's interesting to me because it's just like, all right, like this is just a cool imagination. Like it's still based in some kind of reality.
Yeah, it's a touch cheesy and it's a touch childish, but these are mediums that were made for kids, and at that point they were made for kids. So it's like that makes sense. I'm not knocking like early Green Lantern or early any comic because I understand it's a medium that originally was made for children.
Alan Scott was the original Green Lantern, by the way.
Was it?
Alan Scott.
Was he? Like
the original Green Lantern. Like Hal Jordan was like
the third.
He was like the second kind of like rebranding of it, because like Alan Scott was originally like this dude who found the lantern on like a set of train tracks or something.
Oh,
it was like early.
Oh, I guess you gave me a compilation of like the Hal Jordan stuff.
Yeah.
I guess it must have been. Who was the first rebranding? Like probably Jon Stewart. No, Jon Stewart.
No, it was Alan Scott, then like Hal Jordan.
And he was the first rebranding. I get what you're saying. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to nitpick, but yeah, I got it. And then Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart was actually that was the black guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that was the one that I grew up with as the Green Lantern, because he was the one who was in the Justice League cartoon, and that was the one that I was like, oh, that's Green Lantern. Green Lantern is black. Turns out it's just like one black dude and like 30 white dudes.
Yeah, there's like an entire universe of like people in the core.
Yeah.
Of just like different alien races.
I thought there could only be like one per planet. So explain this to me, because you're a big Green Lantern fan. You said that was your favorite superhero, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mine's Batman, but only because like there's just so much media out there of him. Like I can play 3 Batman games right now. Like I can turn around and play 3 Batman games right now. So it's kind of, I was saturated with that medium. But anyway, explain this to me. Are these different Green Lanterns like separate universes, like different storylines, totally alternate realities, or are they all together?
It's been like it's been a while for me to like remember the exact numbers, but like there was like something about like 3,600 different sectors with 2 lanterns for each one. So it's like they divide up different space.
So Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart are like both. Do they exist together?
Yeah, because it's like, I think at some point it just became like, all right, you are a member of the Green Lantern Corps. It's not necessarily like you're on this sector anymore, because like it became to a point where just like people like this character.
Yeah.
And we want to have them in certain events too with this other character. So let's just have
that
it
other people also like.
Yeah.
And it became one of those things, like on paper, it's just like we're going to make all the money. We're going to put these 2 big all-stars together. So it's not like, I'll use this as an example. There is a Batman universe where basically he is like a Soviet.
Yeah.
So
okay.
It's not like a totally alternate reality. These 2 exist together in universe typically. Okay, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Because it's like how, like you said, there was like, okay, there's like Superman, then there's like an Earth 3 Superman or whatever.
Yeah.
All the Green Lanterns are like one in one
Reality.
Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I imagine if it was a different alternate universe, there would be a whole entire different core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was asking if they were like all in the same universe. So okay, cool. That's actually really interesting to me how they can like rebrand and be like, okay, people really liked both of these characters. People have been wanting this character back, and people want this character to stay. Why make them choose?
Right.
I think that's a really smart marketing decision. That's
Right,
one of the
'cause
few
like,
cases where it works.
Yeah, because there's like there's different Flashes. There's different.
Really?
Yeah. There's like.
There's technically different Batmans,
There's like.
different Robins
What
for
is it?
sure.
Barry Allen, Wally West, and then there's like the original Flash, and they all are.
Wally
like,
West was the.
I'm trying to. He was like. I think he was the one in the Justice League, that show, animated one.
Yeah.
The original, not original, but like the Justice League. Fuck. Barry Allen was like back. He's not the original Flash. He's like the Hal Jordan one on the same kind of thing.
He's
like
the big name
Yeah.
that people remember, but he's not the first.
Yeah.
Huh. That's really interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know there were like multiple of each, like, because in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, going back to that, there's only one of everybody.
Right.
Like there's not some other Hulk, even though there is in the first Hulk movie, but he beats his ass and that's it. There's no two Iron Mans. There's different suits. People can steal them and whatever. But yeah, that's what I think is interesting. I didn't know there were like multiple like DC characters under the same alias. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, like
Isn't there been like, because I know sidekicks are a big thing in the DC universe.
yeah, like speaking of sidekicks, like how I forget which Robin it was exactly, but like when Batman is like either believed to be dead or like retired, one of the Robins will take over as him.
Yeah.
And then like, which I'm trying to remember which one. I want to say fucking the one that became Nightwing. I think Dick Grayson. I'm not sure exactly.
One of them died, and I think that was actually Dick Grayson. I don't remember. Point is,
Jason Todd?
That's the one that died.
He died, and I think he became Red Hood. I think.
Wait, I thought if he's
then
dead.
Dick Grayson was the one who was in Teen Titans, I think.
Well, I thought there was like 3 Robins that were like universally like really big story points. Like there's, which actually in the 3-hour Batman animated special I saw, there was a female Robin. I thought that was pretty cool. It was just some random kid that like broke into his house and he was like, "You can stay." But anyway, there was the one that became Nightwing, the one that became, was it Red Hood?
Red Hood.
Yeah, one that became Red Hood and one that died.
Yeah, well, there's Damian Wayne, who's like Bruce Wayne's son.
Yeah.
He's a Robin. Then there's Jason Todd, Dick Grayson. Somebody I'm missing, Damian Wayne. There's like a few different ones.
I mean, there's always been in a lot of the ones where it's like, oh, Batman's old now and he can't do shit, except he can because he's Batman. There's always like that. Oh man, we'll never do it again because Robin died. Like, and then he always does it again, just forgetting completely that Robin died. But like, there's always like, oh, Robin died. So I think that the Red Hood and the dead one are different, but I can't.
I don't know, because like I watched some videos saying like he died, then he came back as Red Hood or something. I don't know. I don't know the exact thing.
We need to go and read up on that.
Right.
So let's stop riffing on it.
Right.
But yeah, I just realized that sidekicks are such a huge thing in like DC. I don't think like Aquaman's got a sidekick. Wonder Woman does not. I don't think so.
Green Lantern had one, but it was kind of racist.
Superman's got a dog. Wait, what?
Green Lantern had like, you know how Hal Jordan, he used to fly airplanes?
Yeah.
So he had this like Asian mechanic that he called Pie Face. And then they stopped making
My God.
They stopped making him be a sidekick.
They stopped making Pie Face be a sidekick? That's so terrible. I mean, no, that's bad. There's no.
Yeah.
I want to say
it was a different time.
I was about to say it was a different time, but that does not make it okay.
Yeah.
Who else has a sidekick? Batman obviously has like 9 that are all children and have all died, or something.
Yeah. It's like there's just different.
You know, it was actually a really interesting concept that artistically was also very good. Batman Begins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or no, Batman Beyond. That was it.
Yeah.
You know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Where he's not even Batman anymore. He's just old and decrepit, and he's like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then Terry, was it Terry
McGinnis, I think.
Terry McGinnis.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the most like Irish name ever.
For real.
It's almost offensive. It's so like Terry McGinnis. Anyway, and his hair is jet black, obviously, because he's Batman.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was interesting.
That show was lit though.
It was, because it was like all sleek and modern, and like he was an interesting character, and he kind of had that trope of like, oh, balancing my teen life with my superhero life.
Yeah.
What problems I have. But yeah, it was actually good. That was another one, Static Shock. Which, is that a comic, or did that start as a TV show?
I believe it was a comic. I believe. I only know for sure about the show, and I know Static. I've seen him in a DC comic. So I don't know if it started. I'm not sure. That was
probably crossover.
I don't know. I just know the show. Because, like, the show was way before I got into comics.
Yeah. The show was really good, though.
Yeah.
So, speaking of welcome to the Superhero Podcast, where we talk about superheroes that we don't really know
that we
about.
don't know anything about. It's all hearsay.
Yeah. I hear that Wonder Woman is getting a sidekick. Ropey the Rope.
Rope, yeah.
That was a really
Rodeo
lame,
Roxanne.
That was a really lame joke. So thank you for laughing at it. Yeah, superhero movies can be good, and Marvel has proved that. DC has done some that are good, or at least they've lent out their license to movies that are good.
Yeah.
TV shows are generally pretty decent. You know, it's just the idea of an expanding universe of like even non-continuous events, of like alternate reality events, where it's like, oh, you know, this didn't happen, but what if it did? I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. And
comics are like that to a T. It's there's some stories that have been told and retold 10 different ways for decades. There's some storylines that have lasted like 20 years that are still going.
There was one.
It's crazy.
There's one where like someone reimagined if Superman landed in like Soviet Russia instead of the United States.
And there's completely alternate realities like that. It's so cool.
Or like if Bruce Wayne got murdered instead of his parents, like his dad became Batman and his mom went crazy and became the Joker.
That
it's like really cool
I've not
stuff.
Heard.
Yeah.
There's one Batman comic that I did not really. I didn't know what to make of it. There's one Batman comic where Alfred, his butler, Alfred Pennyworth. Batman's got like 9 different types of sidekicks. Yeah. He's got fucking Catwoman. He's got Butler. He's got fucking Robin. But anyway, Alfred Pennyworth. Basically, Batman was like so distraught over his parents' death that he tried to become Batman, but he was bad at it. And so Alfred started like setting up crimes, and he became the Joker. And at the end of the night, he would just wipe off his grease paint and be like, "How did it go?"
Yeah.
You know, like he would pay off police
Yeah.
and people to like act like they were in trouble, and Batman would come and like be shitty at saving them. But like Alfred would be like, "Just play it cool. Just act like you got beat."
Yeah.
Like, I know it's shameful, but here's $100. That kind of thing. And I thought that was super like, oh my god, that's such a grim retelling. Because like there's this grown ass man who's so distraught over his parents' death that he wants to fight crime, but he just fucking sucks.
Yeah.
He just can't do it. I thought that was really interesting. It was a really good arc. It was a really good concept. I didn't actually get to read the comic because comics cost money. But I read up on it, and it seems like it's definitely a fucking interesting concept. And I thought that was really cool. But yeah, now I just want to fucking go read comics and watch comic book movies and listen to other people who know more about comics talk about them.
Because like it's at a point now to where it's just like I have like kind of a knowledge of it, but like, I would like to just know instead of just like I heard or I read in an article or I read in whatever.
Or I have a vague remembering. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to like nail down facts because, like I said, there's so many alternate universes, and like, there's like 4 different Batman series going on at any given time, and if you're like, oh, this happened, someone could easily be like, no, it didn't, and you're both right.
Like, I'm wanting to, like, just figure out, just, like, all right, like, what are just, like, canon list, like,
The mainline
essential
series.
reading, and then
That's what
branch
I
off
want to
from there.
know.
Yeah.
I want to get into the essential, like, but there's so many spinoffs and so many reboots and so many, like, it literally depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
Although I did get a Deadpool book once that was
I want to ask
fucking
Justin.
great.
We should probably ask Justin.
Justin's
like really into
yeah, I mean, he's the one, the Deadpool book I just mentioned, I borrowed it from him.
We should have had Justin come over so he could, like, tell us that
Pause the recording and call Justin.
So he can tell us that everything we're saying is bullshit.
Yeah, probably.
Like, he like debates people on forums about stuff.
Damn.
He's like,
he's the one I used to fuck with about Aquaman. They used to be like, yeah, Aquaman sucks. And he's like, no, he doesn't, Jerry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, he does, Justin. Yes, he does. Because he can't. He's SpongeBob. He's basically SpongeBob.
Like, all his allies get cooked at fucking, like, Long John Silver.
It's not even a good fish place. Goddamn. Oh. All right. You know what? I think that's enough ripping on comics for a little bit. And maybe next time we'll read up more on the idea of what we're talking about. But I really like this new format. What do you think? Because like
nice.
just focusing on one thing is a lot easier. It's easier to stay in the ballpark. Because we didn't just talk about Marvel. We talked about DC, but we also didn't like completely ruin the idea of talking about comics forever either. So anyway,
all in all, Avengers 10 out of 10.
yeah, DC 0 out of 10.
0 out of 10.
Even though okay, so I've been wanting to say this the whole podcast, and I don't know that I have already. Oh yes, I have. Batman's my favorite superhero, even though I've only been watching the Marvel movies.
How much time do we have?
We got right. We're at 57 minutes. So
why is Batman your favorite?
Why? Well, I did mention this earlier. My bad, but literally probably just because of media saturation.
Oh, so it's no just like specific thing about him.
I do like him, but it's the same reason I like Iron Man. Like they don't actually have superpowers. They're just like really fucking smart.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever I see Iron Man scenes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm just like, this dude is literally like doing physics in his head.
Yeah.
And he's got a supercomputer to help him, but he built that shit. So, he's got to be smarter.
Did you know that, I don't know what thing it's from, but like there's some story where like the Justice League got mad at Batman because he kept contingency files.
Yeah. And he's just like I actually saw a comic making fun of that. It's like, what the fuck, Bruce? You got like takedown plans for every single one of us just in case. And he's like, well, I just want to be careful, And they're just like, well, what happens if you go rogue? And he's like, there's nothing you can do. And then he was like, just kidding, just like shoot me in the face or something.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have fucking superpowers. Yeah, and he has a fucking head, he has a helmet that only goes from the fucking nose up. Yeah. So you shoot him in the chin, he's probably going to go down.
There's some video on YouTube where like someone did a voiceover of him reading files. And it was just like, yeah, Batman. At first it sounds like he's sucking his own dick. It's like Batman is smart and strong and handsome. No, but like it's just like, but he's only human or whatever.
And at 7, no.
Yeah.
8-inch dick.
But it's just like, yeah, biggest dick in the Justice League.
Yeah.
But no, it's just like, yeah.
One of his contingency plan for like the Flash is just make fun of his tiny penis.
It was just like, his thing was like distract Batman by having Wonder Woman drop that thing.
Oh my god.
like drop it low. But it's
fucking, hey Wonder Woman, I dropped this pencil. That's sexist.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway. Yeah. So wait, no, okay, one last shot in the dark, not knowing what the fuck we're talking about. Are Wonder Woman and Superman romantically involved, or is that sometimes, or is that like no?
I don't know.
Because I think they are in some.
I don't know. Like, I know that I've seen her be linked to Batman. I've seen her be linked to Superman. I don't know. No idea.
Anyway, all right. Well, I think that's probably going to do it for this episode of Less Worse. It's always nice to have you over and to chat about whatever. Just, you, me, and a container of Clorox wipes.
Yeah.
It's the... I don't know why that's there. All right. Now that's out of the way. I feel so much closer to you now.
Yep.
All right. So that'll do it for this episode of Less Worse. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
You said it so sad. Are you all right? Oh, my God. Who hurt you?